957是一名经验非常丰富的选手，然后大局观也很好，和队伍配合挺默契的，支援非常迅速。我会在对线中打得更强势一点，然后会尽量就去支援队友，然后建立优势。
We've already seen that top lane matchup be pretty important in both Game 1 and Game 2. I think Game 3 is going to be just as exciting when we got to see carries in Game 1, tanks in Game 2. What's it going to be in Game 3? 80 carries?
Well, he's already failed
Mages.
in terms of getting pressure top lane, so the Camille pick worked out incredibly well for 957 in Game 1. In Game 2, of course, you have Ornn for yourself, so you're just hoping for team fights.
Yeah.
Game 3, I mean, he needs to do something.
What's it going to be?
Oh, Camille.
Camille?
If it doesn't get banned, then Camille.
Oh, well, WE find themselves once again on the blue side. They had side selection in this Game 3, so they chose that for themselves. We've seen some pretty early Camille's, though the Game 1 Camille was pretty late.
Then he either goes towards Swain or Gnar, which people would look towards the Gnar versus Camille matchup and say that it works in favor of the Camille, but really early on, Gnar and Mini Gnar can actually out-trade quite well. It all comes down to whether or not you dissuade the Camille for going in for a second hook shot. Because the first hook shot, you can jump away and disengage quite well and start to answer back. It's the second hook shot that gets you, because at a lower cooldown than the Gnar jump, then that's the problem with the matchup for Gnar. So that's why I would like to see something down that alley for Xiang in the top lane.
Perhaps a bit more of a carry-style play if he's able to step forward for his team. That said, he's got Icon in the mid lane. His Game 1, he started to heat up. His Game 2, he turned into absolute fire. What's going to happen in Game 3? Will they continue to stick towards that rise that was so instrumental to their Game 2 win, or will WE try to focus that out instead? Because we're starting to see multiple carry threats arise for Team OMG.
Oh, yes, 100%. I'm just going to ignore the pun that you just threw at me. Rise. Anyway, so yeah, I think Rise is going to be a major one.
I can't believe you've done this.
Ban the Rise, I would say, if you're WE. Get that out of their faces, just because Rise has been the go-to pick for Icon if he can't find another assassin for himself. So that's my takeaway, is that Rise should be something that you would want to take away from OMG.
Don't look so surprised.
That's my go-to. But ultimately, I think that Icon has lately, as of late, gone towards more control mages for his team, and although that doesn't fit his style necessarily, it's something that he's realized that he needs to do just to kind of fit in the meta.
To expand that play style just a little bit more, because we know he's got the assassins. I'm just waiting for him to break out Talon or Zed or LeBlanc. We've already seen his LeBlanc earlier this split, and that was a highlight reel in and of itself, where he went 1 versus 4 and came out victorious.
I was about to say maybe an 8.6, but he's not going to be seeing any bit of play on 8.6 just because he's not in the playoffs. So
unintentional burn.
Summer split. Summer split's going to be his go-to. So yeah, that's a thing that he can do.
Yeah, and like they were talking about on that other place, those other people, the things that they said, that OMG, this could just be them moving to their new arena, trying to refine their footing, because of course you have to acclimate to the new climate. You have to acclimate to the new culture, the people around you, the gaming house, all of the stadium as well. Snake was immediately able to adapt, and I think that's why we saw them succeed so early on.
Yeah, Snake as a team, WE maybe a little bit less so. They didn't have too much changing for them.
Yeah.
Snake, just because they really held on to their own kind of a team. A lot of the players were there from last split. So there's been zero change for Snake other than going to Chongqing.
Yeah.
And then for WE, sure, 2 players changed, Celestial and Magic. But the veterans stood up, and it was the difference for how many games they didn't lose. So they're still in the playoffs if you're WE. OMG, on the other hand, I mean, they lost their primary carry, and they didn't really find an answer for who their primary shot caller was going to be. And then they found themselves going to Chengdu in the western region. So there was a lot of change for OMG, and a lot for them to really kind of gather and find comfort in. So yeah, OMG is just having a lot of problems in that regard.
This is where we had to look towards Icon to stepping up for his team.
Yep.
He is one of the most senior members along with Xiang. He is the hitman, and now he's going to rise in this Game 3. So perhaps this could be it. He stepped up in Game 2. Will it happen again in Game 3?
He very well could. The fact that he was able to get Rise for himself is crucial. I wonder if they end up getting the opportunity to ban the Cassiopeia in second phase. If you're WE. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Seems like they preempted it, yeah.
Well done there. That just means that they had an answer if WE was the team that would pick up the Rise, that they were going to be comfortable in that scenario as well. So Icon knows what he wants, and he's able to get it for himself.
Follow-up is the Kazakhs for Jekko to match that Olaf.
And you know my opinion on the Kazakhs versus Olaf matchup.
Yeah.
Hurts for Kazakhs, but the combination that works very well with Kazakh is Rise. Rise-Kazakh combination works well just because you get the empowered Rune Prison into the gank coming in from Kazakhs, and that's a lot of damage from the get-go, and that's not even taking the flashes into account. So OMG, right now, going to be playing towards mid lane.
And Mystic again, going back to the Kaisa for the 3rd time in a row. Talia, the pickup now for Xie. Very easily able to roam and can quite happily contest the wave push of Rise.
100%. Xie is going to be looking to get first roam, as you mentioned. It's really good in the early game. Don't want to find yourself faltering as the game goes on, because all of the 3 picks that WE has picked for themselves do descale. Talia descales. Of course, her ultimate doesn't dish out that much damage, and sure, in longer fights it can do quite a lot for themselves, but they'll find problems in team fights. Same with the Kaisa, same with Olaf. So right now, WE are trying to find themselves firmly in a lead in the mid game.
Strategy that is fairly bold against OMG, who are happy to take those mid-game fights. Bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, the only thing that can change WE's composition to be a little bit more late-game scaling is if 957 takes up a Fiora or Camille. So Camille is still open, and I think OMG should just outright ban that, and that would be so much easier for them to handle the split pushing on the side lane.
In that same vein, there's also a Sion and a Swain available for either of these teams to pick and choose from. OMG will actually get first pick on this next round.
I'm okay with Sion and Swain because that forces you to team fight. If you're Swain, you don't necessarily have the split pushing for yourself. You can just have Rise try and answer him.
Yeah.
So if you're WE, you pick the Sion or you pick the Swain, then you put them in a mid-game composition and you get outscaled. So this is a tough call from WE. They just might go all in on early game.
So we did have the Alistar lock in for a 5. We're still looking for the 80 carry for Chelly. Shen will be banned away from Xiang.
I think OMG, Xiang needs to take the Camille pick away. The moment Shen got banned is when W is making a call out saying that if you pick, or if you take the Camille, we could pick up the Shen, or vice versa, just because Shen is a good matchup into Camille in the early game. So right now, OMG, they're thinking long and hard, but I don't think it's that hard of a decision.
With the timer ticking down. Wait a second, wait a darn minute. Kalista locked in. It's been a while since we've seen that.
They thought of it. They thought about it. They felt like they didn't lose too much in the top side of the map, and by allowing themselves to get hard engage, enabling 5 in the early game, that's going to be their priority.
Braum again, the pickup for Celestial, one of his favorite champions that he's been playing alongside Mystic. And that means that counter pick will go once again to Xiang in the top lane. He already took the Ornn into Sion in that last round to moderate success.
This is where the game gets interesting. So it's WE saying that their early mid game is going to be their primary focus. They don't need to worry about the late game. In fact, in game 1, they got outscaled anyways, but they still won in team fights. So WE wants to be that team fighting team. And OMG, they're like, all right, we'll try and match you. Look at how many tanks they have. That's 2, but those are brute force tanks.
And while Kaisa's Shred is good, it's not quite Vayne level. We'll see how WE can play around this, because it is going to be quite a challenge. Big tanks in the top lane, aggressive junglers, 2 roaming mid laners. Looking down the lineups, it is just exciting all the way across. Every single matchup has something going for it.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen. Level 6 is when the fire starts coming up. We're talking about Kalista Alistar. Used to be the greatest dual lane matchup before they got heavily nerfed last split. So that's where the sadness came about. But there's still a good combination. Even with the reworks that Kalista's been getting, the slight one around her W, attack speed, all that kind of like dual damage that her and her partner gets, that's been toned down. But she's still rather strong in the laning phase. So we get to see a little bit of that happening, a lot of engage as well. And then when they hit the level 6 point, then we're going to be seeing Ornn try and get his footstep going there.
Of course, the call of the Forge God to set up an initiate, and he can be hand-delivered into those fights with some assistance from Icon's Realm Warp, though so far he's been doing a great job of sending Five's Alistar into that back line from those previous games that we've seen. But now as we load onto the Rift, you can see perhaps a little bit of exhaustion starting to wear on these players after Game 1 and Game 2. Come on, guys, you're 3 games in. Those are some rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Yep.
You can't be looking tired at Game 3.
Just remember, they flew in here as well.
They did, yes.
Flying into Chengdu, playing
there is the
in
travel
foreign soil.
that WE has to worry about.
Got to find a way to get a win here until they're going towards playoffs.
But that said, we're now ready to load our way onto the Rift. The decider match between Team WE and OMG, longtime rivals reborn with their new rosters. And the crowd is still amped and ready, as loud as ever. You can only imagine when the chants are going to end, because Raz, we're getting into Game 3.
All right, this time around, there's an actual level 1 happening.
Stepping up onto Gieko. Just getting an early ward to try and track that Kha'Zix's pathing. You can even see Celestial's actually stepping up. Winter's Bite, slow into 5, though Chelly will trade back with an auto attack.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to push down 5 and Chelly just because Kha'Zix had to play a little back. The ward catching him near the Raptors means that he needs to somehow find a way to either feign that he's going left or right. But there's an extra ward right now in the red buff pit. So Kha'Zix, 100%, they know where he is. Right now, he's going to be starting blue side.
And that means Celestial and Mystic will be able to afford the leash over to Magic on his own red buff and springboard him into the jungle very quickly. Let's see what his path decides to take as Gieko, almost the exact same speed, goes towards that wolf camp. Meanwhile, Magic turns towards Raptors.
Kha'Zix, unfortunately, doesn't have too much in terms of options in clear.
Yeah.
It's going to be the 3-camp start for him. Blue, Wolves, Red, and then try and gank. Just because Raptors is going to beat him down, Krug's going to beat him down, just doesn't have too much for himself, while Magic can go as low as he possibly can while taking 4 to 5 camps. So right now, it's going to be Magic that's not going to be on the map as quickly just because he's going to be getting more resources for himself, so he hits the level 4 point rather than just the level 3 point.
He's going for that blue buff. We can see with some mid-priority, Shie steps up and gets a ward that will track Gieko with those double buffs, freeing Magic up to take this Scuttle Crab, and he's actually pretty high health as well. Might look to contest the Raptors afterwards. Yeah,
I like the fact that Magic's getting out there early instead of going towards his Wolf camp and Gromp. He wants to be able to contest the camps or contest the lanes. So right now, it's Gieko feeling a little claustrophobic in his own red side jungle.
Ooh, just tossing out an axe. He places a ward, but still the early control ward placed by Team OMG keeps them safe.
Yeah, job's done for Magic. Now he can actually reap the wards of his own jungle. Know that he pushed out Kha'Zix's top side and knows that Kha'Zix can only be in the bottom side. So this is worst case scenario for Gieko, knowing that he has to farm up because he cannot get impact in any lane on the map. And it's going to be Olaf that's going to be clearing faster.
We are also seeing the electrocute from Gieko. Yesterday we got to see the chance, the Predator Kha'Zix for chasing people down, taking that celerity and water walking as well. So this is a bit more conventional Kha'Zix style out of Gieko.
Yeah, a few SKT members have been utilizing that one, but electrocute allows him to get a lot more oomph in his ganks. Of course, the burst damage is going to be meaningful, and this is what we need to see out of Gieko. We don't need to see him in later games just running quickly, getting the flat damage off of the boosted up celerity. This time around, he just wants to be able to have that early game impact. I mean, he's trying, God bless his soul, but it's just not working out.
Looking bottom, even placing a ward just by the Krug camp, but a ward in Tribush will spot him out. That means Magic, after activating that Scryer's Bloom, will get the chance to invade and steal away the Krugs, and now he's starting to get an advantage.
Yeah, it's just that investment that now Magic has for himself, because he's stealing that Krugs while at the same time having bottom lane Krugs prepared for himself.
Wait a second. Is this the exact same play 3 times in a row?
Hell yeah.
4-minute dive onto the top tier 1. Magic Pulls the wave. Xie is there too.
Icon can TP.
He's got it ready. The charge stacks up. 957 misses. That's the flick. They've got burst damage. First blood, Xie.
Yeah, he didn't want to TP preemptively, but he almost had to. Almost had to. So unfortunate that Icon was just waiting for the flick to come through.
That's the ignite. He's stunned. A heal prevents the rend, but Shelly dives the turret. He's stunned. He's under the turret. He doesn't have enough. He heals, and he goes down. The outplay from WE.
That is pure unmitigated tilt.
Look at Mystic bobbing up and down in his chair. A little bit of a sly grin.
I feel bad for Chelly just because I think he rended as he was still exhausted. So he didn't have the timing right, and he tried to get the last auto across, and you know what happened. I don't need to tell the rest of that story. Chelly is
I think you should tell the rest of that story, Rams.
I guess I do. I mean, production wants me to do it, so let's go for it. So the all-in comes across, and he wants to find that opportunity. Celestial does the right thing by getting exhaust off, so he tries to find that opportunity. Gets the E, doesn't happen. Rended, tower, everything's hitting him.
Oh, and then slowed by the Winter's Bite off the back of it. Doesn't need the stun because Mystic can just kite out the range. What a world that just was, where the Kaisa could out-kite the Callista.
I know, right?
By walking away.
That just comes down to a little bit of communication. 5 could have been there as well.
Well, he was taking the turret initially. Yeah, he was running out of health.
Yeah.
That's why I think he stepped away, and we saw Chelly overextend a bit too deep. And when you go that deep, there's really only one option: get the kill or die.
That's true.
Yeah.
He tried for it.
He did. But this isn't solo queue, Chelly. This is the LPL. This is the highest level of competitive play in all of China.
But that's what they're trying to fish for when you have Callista Alistar or Callista Thresh. Callista allows you to just go for the kill. And it was just very sad that exhaust went straight on his head, and he had no way to be able to combat that.
Oh, look at this. Xie. He's got his Weaver's Wall. Mystic's not level 6, so 5 just flashes over and takes a Blast Cone to safety.
And remember, the best thing about this game is the fact that Infernal Dragon's up too. So
yeah.
As if we didn't have enough bottom lane focus in the last 2 games, this one is going to be all the better. Magic on Olaf as well, so he can just solo it if he has strong enough vision here.
Jericho has Smite. He steps forward, and Magic lands it. He's going to force the leap out of Jericho. Icon steps onto Xie. And Undertow will miss Realm Warp as he tries to get out of this. Sion is racing down, only to turn around and go right back. He just wanted to
Don't let me catch you doing that again.
Loop himself around. It was a scenic drive through the river.
Just so much help coming out of him. So the fact that 957 can do that constantly in the lane, and Xiang's realized this, that 957 is not ever looking for the one-on-one. He's never looking for trades. If you're trying for it, well, guess what? He's already out of the lane. He's just constantly looking to push and either get wards in his own river or look for the gank mid lane. So that was another chance where Icon needed to watch his back because he had another member who was aiming for him.
Still, Icon escapes with his life and no flash. He's able to Realm Warp to safety. Blue buff passed over to both mid laners now as Xie, with the early roam, tried to affect the map but was unsuccessful. Still, that's exactly what we were talking about in Champions League. That Taliyah roaming just a little bit faster than the Rise this early on.
I'd say the time in which the lane bounces away from her is when Icon gets Catalyst for himself. Of course, Catalyst into Abyssal Mask. Too much magic resist for Xie to find solace in the range that she has. So then Icon can walk up a little bit more further to look for trades. So once those start happening, that's when the game gets a little spicy, just because Icon can start to step up as he did in Game 2.
But that recall, that's the Catalyst, that's the Blasting Wand in the top lane, still happily farming away. While Mystic, he's got that BF sword first against Zerker Greaves because of the bonus kill gold that he was able to pick up from Chelly's attempted dive.
I wonder where the Blasting Wand's
going for it.
Because you mentioned it too. So yeah, he's going to go Rod of Ages instead of the Abyssal Mask, which is surprising.
Oh, she actually dodged the vision of that ward. Magic is on this side of the map, but still, they know that Taliyah is off the map, and even if they don't see it explicitly, they know well enough to back away.
Yeah, just have to respect it, know that the vision control is firmly in favor of WE. Not much to do there, so at the very least, they get the control, like the cannon minion wave. So they didn't get denied off of much, if at all.
Magic helicopter parenting his way around Xie, just patrolling him back and forth. He's looking for the opening. They might even be able to look for this dragon here, though. Looks like Jericho was able to find the Mystic. He's trading with Chelly and 5 down there. Jericho is evolved, steps in. We'll start trying to clear out some of this vision. So we're still seeing Gieko contest this matchup against the Olaf, the one that he just played into. But he seems to know it pretty intimately. He's not giving up anywhere near as much as Magic did in that previous game, too. So already we're starting to see some growth out of the jungler from OMG.
Yeah, real patience there. So the fact that the control wars that we've been seeing that's been levied so heavily in favor of WE means that now, at least, Magic's not going to get those really early Infernal Dragons just because Gieko is on the ball and contesting it. But he still needs to get Raptor Camp, so Gieko recognizes that he's not going to fall too far behind, so he still has his own experience to worry about.
Ooh, good tank from Chelly to absorb that hit and prevent the passive proc, the second skin and plasma.
Oh,
Teleport
TP.
behind the Mystic immediately turns around. An Icon cancels. That was opportunistic.
Yeah, I mean, look at that ward. You could definitely see that.
Gieko has found Xie. He flashes back. Realm Warp to catch up. The flick onto Gieko. He's trying to kite it out. Gets into the brush. Look at the burn. He cleanses but ends up going down. In the bottom lane, they were able to split 5 away from his AD, and Mystic gets a kill. So we're starting to see division of resources between these teams.
Yeah, at least OMG got a mid lane play because that bottom lane play was completely butchered by them. Even worse, 5 lost his life because Chelly used his own ultimate to make the play happen, so he didn't have it to save 5 in that gank. So, I mean, it turns into a trade, but it should have been an outright gain from OMG because they had the play in mind.
You gotta hate it when that happens.
Makes me sad.
When you try to make a play like that. Here it is once again. So it's just Celestial finding the stun. And 5 goes in as Magic walks up.
At that point,
it's unlucky.
It's the usual criticisms we make to teams that constantly look for plays or look for fights when your jungler's making a play on the opposite side of the map. This time around, I mean, Gieko is mid lane, so it's not that far away, but it was happening at the same time, so there's no way that Gieko's going to be going bottom lane to ever push that back. So he just went in there hoping, fingers crossed, that Magic wasn't going to be there.
The only thing that I wonder about is what goes through your top laner's head when that's happening. There's fighting in 2 places and they both call for a teleport. How do you choose?
How do you choose?
How do you choose? Who lives and who dies? You hold their lives in your hand.
Well, you just try and make everybody happy. So it's a first come, first serve basis.
Top laner problems.
Yep. Whoever gets it right, you blame them. They're the ones that called for it.
Whoever calls first. I see. So we're trying to do it like champion select style.
Oh yeah.
Old school style champion select. Back
Solo
before
queue.
you could, before you could pick your roles. Goodness, a classic era that was. Icon's actually contesting this Raptor camp here. No smite is ready for Magic, and he'll still finish off the camp.
He's going to be able to start clearing out the control wards in his own jungle. Since he started to lose focus around that fact, he's going to need some help, so Celestial's working out well with him. This is what we've usually seen out of Ben and Condi, the duo, or Zero and Condi, the duo. Now getting to see it out of their new players in Celestial and Magic is nice to see. Duoing, just to be able to get the vision for themselves, it's definitely needed, and it's working out well for them.
Magic and Celestial, the 2 newcomers to WE. What kind of pressure that's got to be to join a team like WE? So prestigious.
Yeah, and that's the first few weeks when the pressure was piling on.
Yeah, that's what we saw, the original performances. They're starting to step into their own, but still, I feel like the threshold for these players has to be high for WE to accept them in the first place.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I've been following Loliot, who now changed his name to Magic when he was in the LSPL for quite some time. He's been with them, or at least the secondary and tertiary teams for WE. Only recently went towards another team in terms of game talent for a little bit. So he's been moving from team to team, but he's been with the WE organization for a long time. So they know him very well.
Yeah.
So picking him up and putting him into the LPL spot is because they do have faith in his own abilities when he was playing in the developmental league. That being said, it's hard to ever find that kind of success moving from the developmental league towards the Premier League. Because now you're in a Premier League, more eyes are on you, you're getting those follows on social media, a lot of people criticizing you heavily, so you make that one mistake.
That's what makes you concerned, the follows on social media?
There's a lot of people in China and Weibo.
There are a lot of people, you're absolutely
right. You make one mistake, which he's made multiple mistakes, and you start feeling the burn.
It's
so yeah,
brutal.
I mean, I know we have Reddit. You can turn Reddit off. Twitter, I suppose.
Multiply Reddit by 10.
If a new player right now in the NALCS is probably getting like 5K people following them on Twitter. Here, Weibo, ridiculous amount of numbers. So you're getting a lot of flame coming at you. It's hard to avoid that. Mystics, I mean, Magic's been getting a lot of that recently, but still being able to push through that and perform is nice to see.
Yeah. And we have seen some developmental league players step in, rookies. Whoa, that's Ignite also being burned on the Mystic. He tries to walk it off to Celestial. Looks to tag Jelly with the stun, an auto attack. It's AD versus support, and AD versus support. The shot will miss. Realm Warp as Icon roams down to the bottom lane. Flash from Celestial. Weaver's wall separates him. Icon. Flash kills Mystic on the far side, but Xie joins the fight. A flick into the wall. Icon's too big to make it over.
And you know what? There were too many fights there, about 3 of them. 3 internal skirmishes. Even the Observer got a little bit confused of which one actually mattered. It was the one where Rise came in.
Oh, Celestial, what are you doing there, bud? Oh, that's a good flick. Still not enough to get another kill.
5 still has it in him.
And
to go for
Jericho
this.
is there. He's found Xie, not isolated, but definitely assassinated. And that's another kill as Magic flashes over the wall to get revenge for his fallen teammates. But still, this is not a place that Olaf wants to be. A happy dive from OMG.
Yeah, that got messy quickly. Real messy, real quickly. Mystic and Celestial tried to go for a 2v2 there. But we were talking about Icon having his ultimate ready for himself, was able to get to the lane and assassinate Mystic right from the get-go. So there's no damage from WE. That's usually a play where WE said, okay, we lost this fight. Let's back on up. But they tried to double down and keep safe underneath that tower, disrespecting OMG in those situations, and they really paid for it.
Disrespecting OMG in their own house. How dare you, WE?
Like, really? But so this is where it all starts. You're talking about developmental players. Chelly is one of them. New player from the LSPL. Comes in. This is a pretty decent skirmish. He even gets exhausted, so he plays patiently, which is a good thing.
Oh, 957.
Ah, so he wasn't even available for the play because he was TPing in front of the man's face. Makes sense.
WE. Look, I know you've already locked 4th.
I wonder who he's going to blame in this one. We were talking about blaming your teammates on the TP plays, but this one...
That's his own fault. That's nobody's fault but your own, 957.
Yeah, you can't blame anyone for that.
Come on, man. Come on. Yeah. Look, we try to be generous to the players sometimes. Like, oh, maybe he was under the... Maybe he's an Ornn. He can knock you up from across the lane.
The Observer's not going to let you get away with
Absolutely.
that one, too. So get a replay on that one as well.
Yeah.
Don't replay much, but...
Keeping it close.
They make the replays count.
Yeah, and then we did get to see the long dive from OMG. And still, OMG, they're by no means a bad team. Just because they had poor performances and suffered against some of our higher tier teams in the LPL, it's where... Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look.
They've ramped up, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
They've definitely ramped up. The recent set versus Snake was phenomenal. But we're talking about bad teams right now. OMG's been having it rough this split. It's just getting better for them.
Yeah, and I think that just because they've had a few bad weeks does not necessarily mean that we can call them a bad team. Because we've seen actual bad teams in our league. Just this year, we had the longest loss record in the history of the LPL.
Even TOP is getting better with the changes that they've made. So that's the best thing about the LPL is the mistakes that they make, they keep improving on it.
Don't slow turn at me.
Don't slow turn at you if I want
me. To. Oh, Mystic? All right. Could get my hopes up there. But you're exactly right. The OMG did have a rough start to the split. And as much as I want to see them grow and return towards their former glory, they've got a lot of work cut out for them.
Yeah, a ton.
The legacy of the OMG organization is a team that currently has the highest win-loss record in the history of the LPL at 89.3% wins per losses.
Yeah, that was their 2014 roster.
Yeah.
A strong roster at that. One that they always look back on.
Yeah.
Going on to Worlds at that time, which was really beautiful for them.
89.3% res.
It was solid. They were such a strong team.
That's something.
That's that's the expectations you have in the OMG organization. So the fact that they've fallen so flat on that one, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that one. But they have a lot of faith going into the summer split. Wonder if this team remains the same. Because Chelly, he's shown some talent.
Yeah, he's starting to shine.
So OMG, they've been looking towards their carries and icons that carry if they go towards the meta picks. And if Chelly finds confidence underneath them, they can look towards and punching towards the Rift rivals, or at least like that ship's passed. But I'm saying they can go towards like 4th place, 5th place.
Bit optimistic there, Raz.
5th place.
Yeah. At the very least, they could take that out. 957 has found Gieko doing the Ripped Herald. 957 denies it. Gieko is still on top of the Herald, and he's flashed away. He missed it over the wall, the knockup, and the Weaver's wall. He's still got the buff, but a bit of an embarrassing death.
Yeah, I got hit up by some bug splat there. Unfortunate. Maybe he can reconnect on time to utilize his Ripped Herald.
Not a literal bug splat. Purely humorous.
Okay.
Purely conjectural.
Yeah, at least he has a Ripped Herald for himself. So that means that mid lane tower is going to be a little bit under threat, which is good. Talia suddenly can't roam around, but now that he's dead, I guess she's going to find the one window that she can do. So if somehow OMG are able to combat this and push Talia back, then they can find an opportunity to get control. But looks like WE has found that window for themselves.
Yeah, OMG are going to try and defend this tier 1. Auto attacks onto Celestial. Xie steps forward, and Magic gets knocked over the wall and split from his team. He's forced to Ragnarok and roll the heck to safety. The tier 1 will be taken, and that is first brick split amongst the 3 members of WE.
There we go. I mean, Magic actually paid off. He went in there. He's still yelling Bromacia. What the hell? Calm yourself.
Wait, I wonder if he's still while recalling.
I want to hear it.
Bromacia.
Yeah, really good from them. Sure, Magic kind of played a little bit too aggressively there, but they're still able to get the tower. So now I wonder where Gieko is going to go, because you lose the bottom lane tower. Maybe you try and say, okay, yeah, he's actually just going to use it here. So they had the members there. They knew that WE is basing on the bottom side, so they can go for this tower.
This is the trade back. Perhaps this is OMG predicting the play from WE, because look at where Mystic is going. He's on the top half of the map, as is Magic. There's no one to defend against this push except for 957, and he's only just now making his way out of base. There he goes. He had to sit there for an extra few seconds to buy a control ward. So while they won't get the tier 2, it's a pretty hefty amount of chip damage.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think WE should still feel comfortable. They're going to push this wave in topside first. So that just means that they're going to have priority in looking to chip out to the next tower, just because OMG is looking to respond. So I wonder what OMG is going to do to combat this. They're getting the wards off the map here from WE, so they're going to make their lives a little harder.
Well, Baron is on the map, and we've seen some pretty early Barons in this series. Now, I'm not saying there's a correlation between Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3.
How much hurt 5 took?
I'm just saying that's a chilling smite onto 5!
No.
Mystic! He gets in range! Ooh, but the flash! 5 escapes with his life, but only just. Double teleport started and canceled.
Now, you mentioned the Baron. Perhaps WE are trying to force this just because 5 is going to have to go back to base. If WE is confident enough, then you know what? Force a 5v4.
They don't seem to be confident enough, Raz.
They're definitely not confident enough.
They're still just skirmishing back and forth. Oh boy, that's the Realm Warp Icon! Makes it under his turret. But that's now Gieko who's been chunked out. So it's not the 5v4 that WE were looking for. It's instead the small skirmishes, the one-on-ones, the two-on-twos to try and trade health back. That's now the second recall that they've caused, but they're just going to use that window of opportunity to get a recall for themselves and look for some item buys.
Yeah. OMG knew that was still possible, though, which is important because they were trying to stop WE from doing it. Maybe WE were just trying to change their tone and saying, okay, maybe we can get a few picks off for our troubles. Nothing happens, which means that it's only just the kill, and it's just or at least, I suppose, the chunk, and the few minions that they're able to get in lane. So WE still gets something off of it, some gold off of it, but nothing drastic.
For now, the game is stalled out 5-5 in kills, 1-1 in turrets, and 1 dragon to 0 between these two teams to further match the 1-1 scoreline. The only way this gets better is if WE pick up the next dragon, which it doesn't look like is going to be the case because Gieko is on it, so we can't balance the scales perfectly.
Yeah, no one's in position too, so it should just be a free dragon for Gieko.
The trade-off, though, is that Magic is on the top half of the map, enabling Mystic and Celestial to push up towards that tier 1 turret. There are pings that spot out Xie at his blue buff, and even more vision pings out of Icon, as he was thinking of roaming top, but instead OMG do not overexert themselves.
Yeah, and I think they might lose this tower for it. So this is the trade that OMG decided to make, the Ocean Dragon for that top lane turret. Just because OMG wants to start stacking dragons, so there are two major objectives they can look for.
Flash over the wall from Xie. The mid-tier 1 will be traded back, and the follow-up from 5. How do you even get there? Cleanse breaks out of the stun, and Undertow from Magic is able to escort Xie to safety. But still, OMG have priority over this mid lane.
Never expect the Mad Cow. infectious.
You're absolutely right. Never expect the net train as 957 goes in. That's a good flick to force the fight. And meanwhile, Mystic is kiting around the side. 5 goes in. A good two-man knockup. He's not about to get too much more as that's going to be Shie going down. It's all up to Mystic to try and turn. He dives in. He goes into 3 but decides to back out. His Icon is still really healthy. Realm Warp further zones away Mystic. And that's a very close fight. 1 for 3.
Yeah, but it works out so well for OMG. You can just see how effective these tanks are, and they just ain't stopping.
Ooh, knock up. Mystic kites it back out. They try to dive it. They get to kill into Celestial and the snare. Another kill. Icon. Unofficial Penta 8-0-2.
I just did not see that Rune Prison coming in, and that's how they were able to get the kill. I do not know how WE are going to contest this game. Baron should be free for OMG. With how this game is spiraling out of control, Icon is legendary at this point.
Teleport is ready for 957. He's just spawned, but stays back in base. And as you said, the Baron Raz goes to OMG. In front of the home crowd, Icon puts everything on the line.
My God. Hope to see that team fight again. Because
this is his heart and soul right now.
Yeah.
We're getting to see the real core of OMG's mid laner.
I was wondering what WE's focus was going to be since they gave him Rise the second time. Just take a look at this, because it starts with 5 getting the knock up, and also the damage onto Braum as well. So they're able to get Braum, and then the Rune Prison to follow him up. So that was pretty clean in the sense that it didn't matter who the target was going to be. Whoever's going to be in front, going to get it. So it was going to be Celestial first before they moved on to the next.
So is that technically void spotting when the Kai'Sa ends up getting caught by going too far forward because she thinks she can outplay?
Look, you can make any term possible. This is your opportunity to do it just because she's new.
The term is actually called void spotting. Like, that's already a thing, yes.
Well, you've already missed the boat then.
No, I'm asking, is it still, if you don't even know, whatever. We'll move on. 26.5 minutes in. Because, like, vein spotting is when you overextend and you dive into 5 people.
I'm just asking because void spotting could be a new thing. And if you're making it, then you can just say it.
It is actually a thing. Like, the developers have shipped the term void spotting.
Oh, they made it?
Yes.
Oh my God, they've copyrighted everything.
Because it was, look, it's the exact same problem as a vein. Like, I can outplay this, and you tumble in and die. Kai'Sa has that, but with an ultimate scale ability. I can outplay this, and then you void rush in and die. That's why it's a void spot.
The fact that developers have made it a thing, though.
Instead of Kai spot it.
Okay,
yeah,
you're going too deep. In fact, I think developers made the right choice to make the name themselves.
Yeah, see? But now with the Baron buff, OMG, they're sieging mid. They've broken down the top tier 1, 3 turrets to 2. And while I might have mentioned that the game was pretty close to even earlier, it's now 5,000 gold in OMG's favor. And 5 has a banner of command, finally solving the problem that they had so much earlier.
Yeah, but this time around, they already have the dive as well. They're not going to be afraid of a miasma from a Cassiopeia because there's nothing there stopping them from diving.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happens. 5 goes in, immediately pulls forward. You can see the crowd control. Mystic repositions. Once again, he finds Shelly. It's a double kill as they're actually winning the fight this time, but now Mystic has to back away from Icon. One-on-one, that's not a fight you want to take. 957 is able to finish off the kill on 5.
I mean, that just becomes a 1 for 3.
Ooh, that's a big knock-up. 957, you're tanky, bud, but not tanky enough.
Okay, I wonder if they get this tower. They
Still
should be
holding
able
on to it. I mean, he's got the bannered Baron minion.
Okay, there we go. I mean, look at Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's going to be running back. That's the real focus, is the fact that the people who are still alive can stop them.
The inhibitor will be broken. The flash! Mystic ducks out of vision. He decides to turn for Magic instead, who flashes to safety, somehow holding on to that after the whole thing. OMG, goodness gracious, are you trying to end this?
No, you can't. Actually get out of
Realm
here.
Warp in order to escape after they take 1 Nexus turret.
Yeah, they had to just because Weaver's wall was up and Shie was going to be up in about 5 seconds. So, good call. Ultimately, OMG found themselves in a difficult spot because Chelly was getting ganged up on by just about everyone who can dive. Magic, Mystic, Celestial even. So, there's not much you can do if you're Chelly, and you're just hoping that Icon can carry that fight.
And that's where we start to raise some questions. Yes, you can kill Chelly, but what about the 10-0 Rise?
Yeah, so Rise was going to get untouched. He was a raid boss at this point, so WE took who they could. Chelly, you're done. You're not gonna,
kid.
You're absolutely demolished. But at this point, this is the difficult portion of the fight for WE, where they recognize being able to take down 2 members or at least 3 members, it's not enough when Rise and Ornn is still running around.
Something just to stand in front of that Rise and keep it topped up. Look at his items. He's already 4 items, and now he just needs to finish off the Rabadons. Barely 30 minutes into the game. It's a full item difference for Xie. He's got the Doran's ring to compare to the Spellbinder.
It's absurd. There's not much you can do if you are Mystic and Xie. What do you even itemize?
Deathfire Grasp?
Not in the game.
I know. That's why it's tough.
Uh-oh.
All right, Infernal Dragon is up, and OMG are set to take it down. But look at where WE are on the map right now. They're going to try and hunt down Xiong, and 957 has missed. They're still going to hit him with the Predator, though. Undertow for the chase. That's 1. That's 2. Mystic follows with the Void Rush. He flashes away. Good shred, but that's so many members of WE chasing it down. The recall now only started, but OMG are already pushing bottom.
Yeah, completed their quest. They got the kill on the tank, but they're going to lose a lot for it. Probably the worst or inefficient bounty hunters in the world.
I mean, they've made it back in time to defend their inhibitor, but able to get aggro on that Bannered minion as well. Weaver's Wall. But look at that, all in the corner. Icon sets up the escape.
Yeah, they should stick around here for the next wave as well. Look at the mid lane wave starting to pile up. Talia is going to have a tough time being able to push this one back.
Meanwhile, Guinsoo's was finished off for Mystic. He's got his pickaxe. He's going to be able to get some shred in there now that his passive can stack that much faster. But it's still a tough match to play out, as Xiong is back up in 10 seconds, and he's got teleport if OMG want to continue this siege.
Exactly. This is the power play move. You stay by this bottom lane tower, you stick to the play, and you wait for the TP to come through. I wonder if that's going to be the case.
That said, Baron is up in 80 seconds, and the next dragon is Elder. And OMG are already rocking those 3 elementals with double Infernal. The stakes are rising in more ways than an Alistar on an escalator.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's a great one.
You used that one on broadcast before?
I did once.
You know what?
There was that one time. Don't you remember that one time out of the 310 odd games that we've casted?
I do not. At least it's still fresh.
Yeah.
Still fresh. There we go.
But Baron is coming up. And WE, they've only got 1 inhib down. If they could try and stem the bleeding, they might be able to get back into this.
It's going to be hard to stem the bleeding just because their focus is going to be at their own base. But the next dragon that comes up means that they need to contest for Elder Dragon, they need to contest for the Baron. It's going to be hard. A lot of the trades that OMG were making in the game, Dragon for towers, it hurt them in their OMG's pockets early on, but now this is the payoff point. They need to be able to get these dragons, and it's going to pull WE away from their base. So, I mean, they're sure WE is a turtle. They have to actually poke their heads outside the shell.
Exposing themselves to a potential attack from OMG. 957 tries to hold down in the mid lane, just in case OMG were thinking of a backstab, but recalls have already been started, and that means positioning over the Baron goes to OMG as a result of this.
All right, so all of the work they did, completely undone. But now they know they're in Baron, or at least they're around the area, so WE has to respect this.
Are we doing this again? He's going to get behind Magic and 957.
Book it!
He's running as fast as he can.
Run, Forrest!
Why are you running? I don't remember.
Why are you running?
He now knows the way back to his team and is able to catch up with OMG. And they reset their position around the map.
Yeah, so this position is going to stand.
But look who's behind them. Look who's behind them. It's Diego.
Not going to be doing anything.
He's got his Guardian Angel. He could go in.
Nah.
Yeah.
He's way too far away from his own team. It's going to be Alistar that starts the fight.
Oh, now they see him.
It's going to be slowing him up. So at this point, if you're WE, stick towards the mid lane. Right now, CA is pushing up the wave. Is going to be important for the next wave that comes through. OMG have 2 choices. Commit to a fight onto CA when he pushes up the wave, or start the dragon. Oh, wait a second.
Oh, they've found Magic. He's actually pathed around his own team, but the trade-off is for some damage onto 5 and the Fate's Call. But Icon, he's level 18. He's finished off his Rabadons. He's spotted out by the Baron Gate Ward. Good Weaver's Wall creates a hallway for Mystic and the rest of WE to step forwards on, but they really need to be careful. That wall is about to turn into a doorway for OMG to get in.
Yeah, this is difficult. No Chelly in for the fight, but I guess the minions are going to be doing the work for OMG.
OMG set up the split push, and now they're playing the side wave. There's no Weaver's Wall. If Xie shows himself on those minions, that gives free reign for OMG to step into the Baron, and they're already burning through its health bar. 957 tries to step forward, but WE just give it up. OMG out macro Team WE.
Yeah, massive call out. In fact, Magic should have been the one answering to the bottom lane play just because he got really chunked out, so he's not going to be able to join the fight. The fact that Xie based to answer the wave means that they have no way of contesting for a fight, no way of pushing OMG off the wave. So now OMG baroned up, bannered minion, up towards the top lane tower. I don't know how WE stops him.
Yeah, this push is a lot more dire than the last one, as there is only a single inhibitor turret still standing as minions finished off the second. And we remember the first that was taken by the first banner minion, and while it is stunned and pulled close into range, it is not enough. 957 will just reset the aggro.
Look at Xiang's current position right now. Pushing up mid, but he's also in position. Wait a minute.
Realm Warp to, that's
very short range.
Quite as far as you would want it to go, but still a good reposition and allows them to collapse onto that mid inhib, and they're going to quickly rotate down to the bottom. There's only a single Nexus turret standing too from the earlier push. WE are playing on a knife's edge. If they fall here, it's game over.
They don't have to move per se. I know they're trying to base, maybe just to give Jekko his Knight's Edge, I suppose. Trying to see what armor penetration item he's going for. Oh, he's not getting anything. He actually purchased absolutely nothing. So heading back onto the field. Excellent.
Resetting instead for Elder Dragon res. 5 seconds. Jieko's pathing makes it abundantly clear what OMG have set their sights on. Complete and total neutral objective domination against Team WE. They turn on to the Elder. WE are none the wiser.
Yeah, not much you can do if you have 2 super minion waves crashing towards bottom lane and mid lane wave. Yeah, that was close. That was close.
That was, I think, a little bit closer than OMG were comfortable having.
I'm not going to respect it until it happens.
And it's not a lot of damage, too. He doesn't have any ability power outside of just the one blasting wand in that Quincy's. I think it's only about 25 AP.
Yeah.
So not massive scaling, especially on patch 8.5, but still dangerous.
Yeah, we've seen a Lulu Steel Baron, ULCS. We've seen a
from
Twisted Fate.
NALCS, yeah.
We've seen a lot. Not going to happen here. That's not how we end the season, damn it.
The final game for OMG before they have to take a break until the summer season. They are now one team fight away from ending their spring split on a win. And goodness knows they need the morale after the difficulties that they struggled through earlier throughout the year. Now escorting Baron up super creeps through that mid lane. Icon 10-0-3. The rest of OMG set up a split push, but Icon, if he gets onto those Nexus turrets, he's got enough AP to demolish them. That's the Baroned up super minions. Where does WE draw the line? The Elder Dragon allows OMG to walk up. The final inhibitor goes down. And still OMG push.
Yeah, 2 bannered minions topside, 1 on a cannon, 1 on a mage. So you need some AD to be able to take them out. It's all onto Mystic.
Call of the Forge God blocked by Celestial. 5 forces the fight. Mystic tries to kite it out. They manage to get 957. He is destroyed, but the Nexus is the target. Look at how quickly it's being destroyed. And while OMG fight on the bottom side, the minions once again finish it off, but not after Icon gets a triple kill to end 13-0-3 on his last game of the LPL 2018 spring. He carries OMG to victory over longtime rivals WE.
Yeah, just taking a look at the damage graph, soaking it all in, because that's how you leave Chengdu with a victory. And OMG doing themselves a favor. WE, not really. I mean, we get to see them go up against RNG soon, and RNG had a difficult set yesterday as well, but they came out with a victory. It's WE that's looking off. WE that had a poor split. WE lost their series versus OMG, and now they're going up against RNG, 1 game down in a weighted best of 5.
Yeah. And while they might have won in LPL 2017 spring playoffs, this is a completely different form for WE. This is not the WE that went to the World Semifinals. And RNG look much closer to the form that they had just those few months ago when they also were in the World Semifinals. So this is not looking to be a massive clash of titans unless WE have got a 4th gear and a 5th gear that they just haven't engaged yet.
Exactly. It feels like they've just been rebuilding tools for the new players that they've had. So they need to do something and then some. I mean, like, their carry is sure, Mystic and Shea, phenomenal players. But if we're going into a preview of what's going to happen in playoffs, they're going up against Uzi and Xiaohu.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're talking about major carries in WE,
Karsa.
you cannot forget the major carries of Orange.
Yeah, you can list every single player on that roster. That looks to be even more terrifying. Whereas OMG, with this win here, 38 minutes and 5 seconds, they're able to close it out, controlling those neutral objectives. Gieko playing into the matchup that he just defeated his opponent with and actually keeping pace.
Yeah, and it's like, honestly, at this point, it feels like a preview just because the 2 Rise games that we got to see Icon just show some flair on, Xiaohu's going to pick Rise. If you let Xiaohu pick Rise, he's going to pick Rise. It's going to happen. And if you die to that, then what do you even do? If you let Rise go when you see that Cassio's already banned, you essentially expect this is going to happen.
It's going to be a pretty scary situation for Team WE. That said, it's time for our analysts at our analyst desk to break down that series. It's all yours.
I don't understand all this sass. Dom was tilted sideways during that cast, and he's making fun of us. I mean, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I have no idea. That guy was like at a straight 90-degree angle while he was casting. But it's fine. I am going to break down this game. And the first thing that I want to talk about, Fish, is context. Because I know the casters are saying that this looks bad for Team WE. You're going into your playoff match. You're a point down in a best-of-5. So RNG are effectively playing a best-of-3. You have to play a best-of-5 before you can even crest the quarterfinals. And it looks dire. That said, Team WE, I feel like they're experimenting here. I don't think that this is the type of form or even the strategy that they're going to take into RNG. They can always go back. They can grab the Jarvans. They can get the Nars. They can do the Galio because we've seen that composition a million times for them. This was them saying, okay, 8.6 is just around the corner. Let's grab the Swain. Let's flex the Scion. Let's study up on Kai'Sa a little bit.
And they tried to pick up the match in game number 3 against OMG, but it wasn't going to work out for them. Yes, they're still possibly still experimenting things that don't look too good for Team WE, but on the contrast, for OMG, things looked really good in their final game of the split.
Like I said, OMG had to move venues and change gaming houses mid-split. That can really interrupt a scrim schedule practice. So I feel like this was actually them finally getting settled, returning back to that form. And what a boom for Icon to come into this game. I believe he was like 10-0-3 at one point on the Rise, and remind everyone that he is still a top mid laner in a league that is stacked with talent. So congratulations to OMG. It's been a super rough split, but it was really nice to see them still hold their head high and finish strong.
Yeah, especially in the final week. Not only were they able to pick up a 2-0 victory over Snake, but they also picked up a 2-1 victory here today over Team WE. And a lot of that victory came from a big fight that took place in the mid lane, where not only was Icon able to carry his team to victory in the fight alone, but the OMG picked up a win there, and they also went towards Baron. Got Baron buff, and that transferred it into the late game.
And this is what was super encouraging to watch from OMG. It wasn't just the individual mechanical prowess that led them to this victory. It was the team being synced and making the correct calls. It was back-to-back series that they managed, or back-to-back games that they managed to win in this series, where they picked the right fight, executed with their incredible mechanics, and then set themselves up for objective priority. So
this is the fight where we saw Mystic dive into the backline. So he got a couple of kills for himself, but it was still OMG winning the fight. And they already had Baron at this point in time to continue pushing through.
Never quite know what replay you're going to get, but it's always an exciting one, and that's what I like about this league.
And again, it shows the execution of Kai'Sa. Because we were talking about it time and time again. When is there going to be a situation where we see Kai'Sa used as a champion that no other AD carry could have the same impact in a fight? And that looked like one of the fights where she had that impact. Diving to backlines, taking down Chelly right off the bat. Turned it into a 2-on-2 at the end, but Icon was just too far ahead at that point.
And it's interesting, the LPL's history with assassin picks. It used to be that, the rest of the world, when they would play the Jugger, not Kog'Maw compositions, that they would play it with like an Orianna or something like that. Orianna, Karma, Lulu, one of those mid laners. The LPL would take the same style, but they would play with an assassin in the mid lane, because the idea was that the assassin doesn't need resources to pull from the Kog'Maw. You don't need to worry about the Kassadin or the Ahri or the Zed. They can go and do their own thing, and then you can just protect your ADC while they clean up a backline. Kai'Sa could almost get involved with that type of relationship. I think she works really well with the Morgana. I like the fact that you can just drop the dark what is it called?
The Black Shield?
That one. The Black Shield on her and kind of leave her to her own devices. So I'm just very curious what the LPL as a unique region and unique take on the meta will do with a champion that has so much intangible access to backlines.
It's going to be interesting to watch because we've already seen teams like Rogue Warriors run the Kai'Sa competition around champion picks like Kha'Zix, like we saw earlier today, using it with the assassins,
yep.
making sure that they can have multiple assassins to attack multiple avenues during a team fight. And it's starting to work out well, but it's still very new champion. And with all new champions, it takes some time before we get to see them in competitive play. Like Zoe or like Ornn, took a couple of weeks before they started getting rolling teams, started getting used to it. And Ornn was another champion that we saw throughout Split 1. The early stage of Split 1 was very popular. Got nerfed slightly and then stopped being a permanent must ban or must pick. But throughout the latter stages of Split, again, starting to rise in popularity. We saw it he played here today again.
And what was also interesting is, again, globally, a lot of Ornn's priority was put on his lane dominance and his ability to have, at least in the early parts of Ornn, constantly having a pushing lane, constantly having priority or a strong side of the map. But in the LPL, his relation was much more closely tied to the AD carries again, because we've always been a region that's been about our ADCs. Yeah. And when Ornn was picked, it denied the picks like the Kog'Maw, because you couldn't have that low mobility. The Ornn ultimate would come through and just ruin your day. So again, it's just something cool about our region. Every single region has their own little tweak on metas. In the LPL, it's just how all of those picks feed into team fighting and ADCs and protecting backlines.
And it's very bloody. It's a very bloody region. We see fights non-stop, and a lot of people watch the league for the first time, and they watch one of the mid of the table or lower parts of the table.
What was the tweet last night from Saint Vicious? He was like watching JD versus Rogue Warriors. He's like, man, I'm actually really scared or concerned for North America. These teams are really aggressive. And I was like, man, if you think this is aggressive, I've got some bad news for you.
Yeah, especially when we watch teams like Invictus Gaming, who are currently undefeated since their first match in the LPL, where they dropped to RNG. Speaking of which, RNG are going to go up against Team WE in that first round. These two semi-final teams at the World Championship last year. Very different forms coming to that match, but it seems like they're both starting to play around their AD carries a lot better, especially Mystic and Uzi.
Yeah, well, Mystic is also increasing in his consistency. He started this split very shaky. We're finally seeing Mystic return to form, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Uzi is having the best split of his life. I've watched all of Uzi's games. I've probably casted over 900 of them. He's played about 1,000 in the LPL, and he has never looked this good domestically. He always shows up internationally, but he's having an international performance in his home arena.
Yeah, he's looking good so far for RNG, but we'll have to keep track of playoffs when we do reach the playoff stage. Still have 2 more games to round out the rest of the regular season of the LPL. We're going to go into a very quick break. Back with game number 2 in just a bit.